There is a time to speak and a time to stay silent, but in a world obsessed with clapping back, proving points, and winning arguments, silence is often mistaken for weakness. Let me tell you the truth. Silence can be your greatest power because sometimes the loudest response is the one you never give. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is no move at all. And instead, let karma do what karma does best. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been wrong, lied to, betrayed? You burned inside, didn't you? You wanted to set the record straight. You wanted justice, you wanted vengeance, but here's the thing. Vengeance is not your job, it's karma's. And karma never sleeps. Karma never forgets. Karma hits harder, cleaner, and without warning. So today I'm going to tell you 7 times you should stay silent and let karma handle it. When someone spreads lies about you, don't chase rumors. Don't try to fight every false story. The truth walks with time. And the same people who laugh at the lie today will choke on the truth tomorrow. When you're betrayed by someone you trusted, revenge? No, that only keeps you tied to them. Cut the cord. Let karma balance the scale. Your healing begins where your response ends. When someone insults you just to provoke a reaction, your silence is power. Let them speak. You don't have to entertain every fool that talks. Their character is showing. Let karma do the rest. When you're underestimated or overlooked, don't beg for recognition. Don't explain your worth. Let your success speak. Let your discipline and results scream what your mouth never has to. When someone takes advantage of your kindness, don't harden your heart. Just redirect it. Let go with grace and know this. What's done in darkness always comes to light. Karma is patient, but it's precise. When people mock your pain or struggle, stay silent. Let karma teach them empathy the hard way. Life has a way of putting people in the very shoes they once laughed at. When your peace is more valuable than being right, sometimes silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. Protect your energy. Let karma fight the battles you were never meant to carry. You see, karma doesn't always come loud. It's not always a dramatic fall or a public downfall. Sometimes karma is quiet, a missed opportunity, a lesson they didn't learn, a door that never opens again. Let them go. Let the situation pass. Don't chase revenge. Chase growth. Chase peace. Because when you walk in integrity, you never walk alone. Karma walks beside you. Stay calm, stay focused, and stay silent, and let karma finish what they started. Silence is one of the most misunderstood powers in the world. Society teaches us that if you're quiet, you're passive, that if you don't clap back, you've accepted defeat, that if you don't respond, you're weak. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, silence takes more strength than shouting ever could. It takes restraint, discipline, self-control. It takes wisdom to hold your tongue when everything inside of you wants to react, because reacting is easy. That's what most people do. Silence is calculated, it's composed, it's dangerous in the best way. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct is to defend yourself. Your ego flares up. You want to set the record straight, you want the last word, you want to prove them wrong right now. But silence says, I don't need to prove anything. I already know who I am. I don't need validation from the people trying to shake me. I don't need to lower myself to your level to remind myself of my value. That's what silence communicates. It's not a lack of power. It's a higher form of it. When you choose silence, you're saying, I've already won by not playing your game. Silence shows that you're not reactive, and being reactive is a weakness. It means people can control you, your emotions, your focus, your behavior, just by pushing the right buttons. But when you stay silent, when you refuse to let someone pull you into the chaos, you reclaim that control. You become the one who dictates the pace. You create the discomfort, not absorb it. Your silence becomes the storm they didn't expect. They pushed for a reaction and got nothing. That's unsettling to them. That's power. You see, weak people argue just to hear themselves talk. They argue to protect their fragile ego. But strong people don't chase noise. They're calm. They're composed. They know that most battles aren't worth fighting. especially not with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Your silence isn't saying they're right, it's saying they're irrelevant. You rise above, not to be better than them, but to be better than who you used to be. Silence is not about silence for silence sake. It's about selective energy. It's about protecting your peace, your time, and your mental state. And silence is strategic. Sometimes it confuses the enemy. People are prepared for war, not peace. They're prepared for drama, not composure. They expect retaliation, not wisdom. When you respond with silence, you shift the entire dynamic. You break the cycle. You deny them the satisfaction of controlling your mood. That's what strong people do. They don't give others the satisfaction of a reaction. They let action speak. They let time speak. They let karma speak. Because what you don't say says more than what you do. Think about the moments in your life when you reacted instantly. Did it help or did it escalate? Most of the time, silence would have saved you from saying something you'd regret, because emotions are loud, they distort judgment, they push you into corners you didn't need to enter. But silence gives you clarity, it gives you space, it gives you distance from the fire before you get burned. It protects you from turning a small issue into a lifetime of resentment. There's also this truth: people remember silence. Words can be forgotten, argued with, dismissed, but silence lingers. It creates a space they have to sit with. It makes people reflect or get uncomfortable or even reconsider their own actions. That quietness, that refusal to engage, forces people to look at themselves, not at your reaction. And more often than not, that's what they need, not your words, your silence. It's not just in conflict either. Silence is powerful in relationships, in leadership, in growth. The most successful people don't talk about every move they're making, they just make them. The most disciplined people don't broadcast their struggle, they endure it silently. They know that when the results show, the silence will make sense. Because not everything needs an announcement. Not every emotion needs a post. Not every pain needs to be shared. Sometimes the most sacred parts of your growth happen in the silence. When you grind alone, heal alone, win alone. There's a kind of peace that silence brings that noise never can. It teaches you patience. It teaches you emotional intelligence. It makes you observe instead of react. Listen instead of interrupt. Understand instead of assume. That's not weakness. That's maturity. That's strength. The kind that's built in the shadows. The kind that doesn't need applause or attention. The kind that radiates when you walk into a room without saying a word and still shift the energy. Sometimes silence is your protest. Sometimes it's your protection. Sometimes it's your power move. When they expect noise, you give them calm. When they expect anger, you give them stillness. And in that space, you remain untouchable. Because no one can control what you won't give them access to. Your peace is yours, your response is yours, and your silence, that's your weapon, one that makes more noise than shouting ever could. Betrayal and lies, there are few things in life that sting as deeply as being deceived by someone you trusted. It's a violation of your faith, a betrayal of your loyalty, and a deep cut to your sense of security. The person you relied on has now turned their back on you, and the pain is sharp and immediate. In those moments, the urge to respond, to fix things, to prove the truth can be overwhelming. You feel like you have to speak up, clear your name, expose the lie, and confront the betrayal. But here's something many never realize. Responding in anger, frustration, or retaliation only feeds the fire. It only pulls you deeper into a cycle that you weren't meant to stay in. Instead, let karma handle it. Karma is often misunderstood. People think of it as something that takes time to work, something that may never come. But the truth is, karma is always at work, even when you can't see it. You don't need to rush into action, and you don't need to raise your voice. In fact, the best thing you can do when faced with betrayal and lies is nothing at all. Let karma do what it does best, restore balance in its own way and its own time, in ways that you might never expect. When someone betrays you, the initial instinct is to fight back. The temptation is strong to confront them, to expose the truth, to show the world how wrong they were. But this is where people make their biggest mistake. They let their emotions control them. Anger clouds judgment. When you're angry, it's easy to say things you'll regret, to escalate the situation unnecessarily, and to make decisions that don't serve your higher self. The truth is, while you're busy trying to correct someone else's wrongs, you might be unintentionally digging a deeper hole for yourself. Fighting betrayal with more conflict, more aggression, and more words only locks you into the drama. You can become so focused on the betrayal itself that you lose sight of what truly matters: your peace, your energy, your future. Here's the thing: karma works quietly. It's a force that doesn't require you to raise a finger, to shout, or to engage in petty arguments. When someone betrays you, they are making a choice, and every choice has a consequence, whether they see it or not. People often believe that if they don't respond immediately, if they don't expose the wrongdoer, they will be overlooked or forgotten. But let me tell you, what goes around always comes around, and it's not for you to enforce. It's not for you to track or measure. What you don't realize in your desire for immediate retribution is that karma has a much deeper, more lasting way of dealing with people who do wrong. The pain they caused you, it doesn't last forever, but karma is relentless, and it strikes in ways you'll never have to witness, in ways that are far more fitting than any response you could offer. When you're wronged, it's easy to think that justice needs to be immediate. It's tempting to take matters into your own hands. But the truth is, you may never see the outcome of karma's work, and that's the beauty of it. Karma doesn't need your interference. It doesn't need your anger or your explanation. Karma doesn't need to be visible for it to be effective. It's quiet, it's patient, and it's always right on time. Trust me when I say this. Those who betray others don't escape unscathed. The universe has a way of balancing things out, often in ways far more profound than you could ever anticipate. When you allow karma to handle betrayal, you're giving yourself the freedom to heal, or you're not wasting your time in negativity or revenge. You're not allowing yourself to be consumed by something that wasn't your fault. The more you chase justice through your own actions, the more you sink into bitterness and resentment. But when you let karma work, you step out of the darkness. You allow yourself to move on, to grow, to heal. You create space in your life for better things to come. You choose peace over chaos. And in the end, the universe has a way of making sure that those who betray others feel the weight of their actions. The person who wronged you, they may think they've gotten away with it. They might believe that no one will ever find out, or that the lie they spread will never come to light. But trust me, karma is the ultimate leveler. It sees all, knows all, and in ways that are often so much more profound than anything you could orchestrate yourself, it brings balance to the situation. Whether it's through a lost opportunity, a broken relationship, or the revelation of their true nature to those around them, karma always finds a way to make things right. And sometimes the consequences of betrayal are far greater than anything we could have planned. You see, when you try to fix everything yourself, you're draining your own energy, you're holding on to the wrong things, you're letting the wrong person take up space in your life. But when you let karma handle it, you're free. You stop carrying the burden of someone else's wrongdoing. You allow time to reveal the truth, to expose the lie, to show the real consequences of their actions. And in doing so, you protect yourself from unnecessary conflict and emotional distress. This isn't to say that you should remain passive in all situations. It's not about letting people walk all over you or accepting mistreatment, but it is about knowing when to engage and when to step back. It's about understanding that some things aren't meant to be corrected by you, but rather by the natural course of life. Some wrongs are not yours to right. Some battles are not yours to fight. Let karma handle it. So the next time you're faced with betrayal or someone lies to your face, remember this: you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't have to chase after justice or retribution. Let the universe do its work. Karma has its own timetable. You just need to trust that in the end, everything will balance out. It always does. In life, we often find ourselves caught in situations where our peace is tested, where we are pushed to defend our reputation, our beliefs, or our choices. We want to prove to others that we are right, that we have been wronged, or that we deserve recognition. But what happens when we focus more on proving a point than on preserving our own peace. In the heat of the moment, it can feel like standing your ground is the only way to maintain your dignity, but in reality, fighting to prove a point often leads to stress, conflict, and a loss of tranquility. Our peace, the quiet space within that keeps us grounded and whole, is far more valuable than any victory in an argument or battle over who's right. When we feel disrespected or misunderstood, the urge to defend ourselves is natural. We want to explain ourselves to make sure others know that we have a valid reason for what we do and say. We might feel like we're standing up for our values, and in doing so, we may think we're protecting ourselves from harm. However, constantly needing to prove a point drains our energy and distracts us from what truly matters. Our time and energy are finite resources, and by focusing them on constantly proving ourselves to others, we risk losing the precious peace we've worked so hard to cultivate. Proving a point often involves engaging with others who may not have the same perspective, and that's where the friction starts. People don't always listen to understand, they listen to respond. They come into conversations already convinced of their own views, and no amount of arguing or reasoning will change their mind. Engaging in this back and forth is a fruitless endeavor. Even if you win the argument, what do you really gain? A momentary sense of triumph, perhaps, but you've also expended energy, emotions, and mental focus that could have been better used elsewhere. The satisfaction of proving someone wrong is fleeting, but the exhaustion and negative energy it creates can linger long after the conversation ends. And one of the most challenging aspects of defending our point of view is the emotional toll it takes. When we argue with someone, we often become emotionally invested in the outcome. Our feelings get involved, and it becomes less about the issue at hand and more about proving ourselves worthy or right. This emotional involvement can cloud our judgment and keep us stuck in a cycle of defense. It's easy to get caught up in the back and forth, and when you're emotionally triggered, you're not making decisions from a place of clarity or calm. Instead, you're reacting to the situation, which often leads to more frustration and resentment. In those moments, we lose sight of our inner peace. The need to prove a point can also be rooted in insecurity or fear. At times, we might feel that if we don't defend ourselves or stand up for what we believe in, we'll be seen as weak, inferior, or unworthy. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Your worth doesn't depend on others' validation. It doesn't hinge on their approval of your choices, your beliefs, or your actions. When you allow yourself to be caught up in the constant cycle of proving a point, you're seeking external validation at the cost of your internal peace. True peace comes from a place of self-assurance. It's not about what others think of you. It's about how you feel about yourself, regardless of their opinions. Moreover, the pursuit of proving a point often pulls us into unnecessary conflict. Think about it. When was the last time you had a deep, meaningful conversation with someone who was dead set on winning an argument? It's rare. People who are focused on proving a point are usually more interested in winning the argument than in truly listening or understanding. They're not open to change or growth. Engaging in these types of conversations only leads to frustration, and in the end you're left with more tension, not resolution. Your peace is lost in the noise, and the issue is rarely resolved in a meaningful way. One of the hardest but most liberating things you can do is let go of the need to be right. You don't always have to have the last word. You don't always need to convince others that your perspective is the only valid one. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away from an argument or conversation that you know will not lead to any meaningful outcome. By choosing to preserve your peace, you avoid getting caught in a cycle of conflict that only erodes your mental and emotional well-being. You give yourself permission to detach from the need for validation and allow others to have their perspective without feeling compelled to correct or challenge them. The strength in letting go of the need to prove a point lies in your ability to stay centered. By choosing peace over conflict, you remain in control of your emotions and your responses. You create space in your mind and heart for more important things, things that truly matter to you. When you stop fighting for every little point, you free up your energy for things that align with your values, your goals, and your happiness. This doesn't mean you ignore injustice or neglect to stand up for yourself when it matters. It simply means recognizing when it's not worth your time or energy to engage in a battle that will only disrupt your peace. In a world where so much emphasis is placed on being right, it can feel counterintuitive to let go of the desire to prove a point. But the truth is, your peace is priceless. It's the foundation upon which everything else in your life is built. Without it, nothing else can truly thrive. When you choose peace over proving a point, you are choosing to live with intention and clarity. You are choosing to rise above the noise, to focus on what truly matters, and to maintain your composure even in the face of conflict. And in doing so, you create a life that is more peaceful, more centered, and ultimately more fulfilling. Success is often seen as the ultimate form of revenge. For many, it serves as a response to the pain caused by betrayal, criticism, or being underestimated. When you're wronged by others or faced with doubt, it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to get back at them, to show them that they were wrong about you. The temptation is strong. The urge to respond with anger, to prove your worth, to show those who out of you that you're capable of more than they ever imagined. But the truth is, the best revenge isn't retaliation, it's success. Success is not only a powerful form of personal validation, but is also a quiet and unarguable statement that speaks louder than any words could. When people doubt you, when they belittle your dreams, or when they write you off, it can feel like a deep personal affront. You want to prove them wrong, to show them that they were mistaken about you. And while seeking revenge through petty arguments or actions may feel good in the short term, it only perpetuates negativity and conflict. Instead, focus on your success. Let your achievements do the talking. Your success becomes the best form of revenge because it doesn't require you to lower yourself to their level. It doesn't require any confrontation, any public display of frustration, or any effort to get back at those who wronged you. Success is its own form of justice. One of the most powerful aspects of success as revenge is its ability to be the most effective, long-lasting response. When you succeed, it speaks for itself. The people who doubted you, criticized you, or underestimated you will watch from the sidelines as you move forward and thrive. And there's nothing more satisfying than knowing that their negativity has no effect on your journey. You don't need to confront them or tell them they were wrong. Your success, your growth, and your accomplishments will be the proof they need. It's a quiet kind of revenge because you don't need to say anything. It doesn't require words, just actions. The more you succeed, the more they'll realize that they were wrong about you. And that realization, that's the most satisfying form of validation you can get. Moreover, success is the best revenge because it allows you to rise above the negativity and the toxic energy that others may have projected onto you. When someone tries to put you down, the natural response might be to engage with them in conflict or to retaliate in some way. But by focusing on your success, you transcend the drama. You don't get caught up in their petty games or in the negativity they try to impose on you. Instead of wasting your energy on resentment or anger, you channel that energy into something productive. You focus on your goals, your growth, and your vision for your life. You let your achievements speak for themselves, and in doing so, you remain untouchable. The more you succeed, the more their opinions and actions lose their power over you. They may have tried to tear you down, but your success is what will elevate you, and it will also show them just how irrelevant their attempts to hold you back were. Another reason why success is the best revenge is that it shifts the focus away from the negativity of others and puts it squarely on your own development. When you're focused on proving others wrong or getting back at them, you're still letting them occupy space in your life, whether you realize it or not. Every moment spent thinking about getting revenge is a moment taken away from your own growth. But when you choose to focus on success, you reclaim that space. You stop being distracted by the actions of others and start directing your attention to what matters most: your future, your dreams, and your own. potential. Instead of allowing someone else's negativity to dictate your emotional state, you take control. You turn their actions into fuel for your own progress, using it as motivation to propel yourself toward your goals. Success also becomes the best revenge because it leaves a lasting legacy. People who wrong you may forget the specifics of what they did, but they will always remember how you responded. When you let success be your revenge, you not only silence your critics, but you also create a ripple effect that can inspire others. Your achievements can motivate others to believe in themselves, to keep pushing forward despite setbacks, and to rise above the obstacles they face. By choosing success, you set an example of strength, resilience, and determination. You show the world that no matter what people say or do, your worth is not defined by their opinions or actions. Your success becomes a testament to your character, your drive, and your ability to overcome adversity. Additionally, when you let success be your revenge, you free yourself from the cycle of bitterness and anger that often accompanies the desire for retribution. Revenge, in any form, is a negative, destructive force. It keeps you tied to the people who wronged you, constantly replaying the hurt and the injustices in your mind. The energy you spend on wanting to get back at someone is energy that you could be using to move forward, to create something positive, and to live a fulfilling life. Success, on the other hand, is a positive force. It lifts you up. It allows you to build the life you want, to create new opportunities, and to open doors for yourself. When you focus on your success, you let go of the toxic emotions that can hold you back. You release the need for validation from others, and you step into a space where you are in control of your own destiny. In the end, success is the most powerful revenge because it doesn't require you to degrade yourself or engage in petty conflict. It allows you to rise above the negativity, to focus on what truly matters, and to create a life that reflects your true potential. Your success will be the proof that those who doubted you were wrong. It will show them that their attempts to hold you back were futile. And in doing so, you'll not only prove your worth to them, but you'll prove it to yourself. There is no sweeter form of revenge than the quiet, undeniable triumph of your own success. Kindness is a powerful force, a reflection of who we are at our core. It is an act of compassion, a willingness to help others without expecting anything in return. It is the ability to see beyond someone's flaws and offer them understanding, support, or just a listening ear. At its best, kindness creates bonds, heals wounds, and uplifts both the giver and the receiver. However, there is a darker side to kindness that many don't often talk about when it is taken for granted, abused, or used against you. It's in those moments when your kindness is no longer valued that the most important lesson is to walk away silently, without anger, without bitterness, and without regret. There's a certain beauty in giving. When you extend your kindness to others, you're offering a piece of yourself, part of your heart and soul. But sometimes people don't appreciate what you offer. Instead of cherishing it, they take advantage of it. They use your kindness to manipulate, control, or exploit you. And before you know it, you're left feeling drained, used, and unappreciated. This is when the line between being kind and being a doormat becomes blurred. It's easy to fall into the trap of giving too much, of overextending yourself because you believe that kindness is always the right response, no matter the situation. But kindness, when abused, becomes toxic. Not for the person receiving it, but for the one giving it. In these moments, when kindness is abused, the best course of action is to walk away quietly. It's not about creating a scene or confronting the person who's taken advantage of you. It's about protecting yourself and recognizing your own worth. It's about knowing that your kindness is a gift, one that should not be given freely to those who are not willing to reciprocate it or who see it as something to exploit. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak or that you're giving up. On the contrary, it means you have enough self-respect to recognize when someone isn't valuing you as they should. When kindness is abused, staying in the situation only serves to reinforce the cycle of mistreatment. The more you give without receiving respect or appreciation, the more you become entangled in a relationship that is draining you emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically. You may feel that if you just try a little harder, if you give more of yourself, the situation will change. But the truth is, people who take advantage of kindness rarely change. They've learned that they can continue to manipulate you, and as long as you keep giving, they'll keep taking. The longer you stay, the more you allow them to drain you of your energy, and the less space you have left for your own well-being. Walking away silently doesn't mean cutting ties in anger or frustration. It means releasing the situation with grace, choosing to remove yourself from a toxic dynamic without fueling the negativity. There's power in silence. When you walk away from someone who has abused your kindness, you're sending a message, not with words, but with your actions. You're showing them that you will not tolerate being taken for granted, and you're choosing your own peace over the chaos of an unbalanced relationship. This is not an act of revenge or confrontation, but a quiet, powerful declaration of self-worth. One of the most challenging aspects of walking away silently is the temptation to explain yourself, to justify your decision to the person who has wronged you. You may feel that they deserve an explanation, that you owe them a reason for why stepping back, but the reality is not everyone is entitled to an explanation, especially when their actions have been manipulative or harmful. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. By walking away quietly, you retain your dignity and avoid getting caught in the web of justification, guilt, or unnecessary conflict. When you give too much of yourself to others without receiving the same level of respect and care in return, you lose a piece of who you are. You start to feel invisible, unimportant, and ultimately resentful. Your kindness, which was once a source of pride and joy, becomes a burden, a constant source of disappointment. But by walking away, you give yourself the opportunity to reclaim your own energy, to restore balance to your life, and to focus on those relationships that nourish you rather than deplete you. You allow yourself to stop being a source of energy for someone else's benefit and to become a source of energy for your own well-being. In many cases, walking away silently also means acknowledging that the person who has abused your kindness may never realize the impact of their actions. They may never see how their behavior has hurt you, and they may never change. But that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect yourself, to create boundaries, and to move forward with your life. Whether or not they understand is irrelevant. What matters is that you understand the importance of maintaining your peace, your self-respect, and your emotional health. It's important to remember that walking away from a situation where your kindness is being abused is not a sign of failure. It is an act of strength. It takes courage to acknowledge that someone isn't treating you the way you deserve, and it takes even more courage to walk away and not look back. The world will often tell you to fight for your relationships, to never give up, and to always give more of yourself. But the truth is, sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is to let go, to step away from the toxicity, and to stop trying to fix something that meant to be fixed. In doing so, you allow space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships to take root. When kindness is abused, walking away silently is a form of self-care. It is a recognition that you deserve respect, reciprocity, and genuine appreciation. It's not about holding grudges or seeking revenge. It's about valuing yourself enough to let go of people who don't value you. In choosing silence and peace over confrontation, you show the world that your kindness is not a tool to be used against you, but a gift that should be treated with honor. And in walking away, you free yourself to find the peace, respect, and joy that you truly deserve. Karma is often misunderstood as a quick fix or instant form of retribution, but in reality it operates over time. The idea of karma, rooted in many spiritual and philosophical traditions, suggests that the energy we put into the world, whether good or bad, eventually returns to us, but not necessarily in the way we expect or within the time frame we might want. This long-term mechanism of cause and effect can sometimes be frustrating to accept, especially in a world that often demands immediate results. However, one of the most powerful lessons about karma is that it always works, but it does so with time. When people speak about karma, it's often in the context of immediate justice. The wrongdoer gets what they deserve, and the good person is rewarded. But this perspective oversimplifies the complexity of how karma unfolds. Karma doesn't operate on our timeline. It doesn't follow the clock or the calendar. Instead, it moves in its own rhythm, often working behind the scenes, out of sight, and at its own pace. The idea that it always works is rooted in the belief that life, the universe, or whatever force we believe in, has a way of balancing itself. The actions we take, whether positive or negative, carry energy, and this energy in time must find its way back to us. But the return is rarely instantaneous, and it's rarely as straightforward as we imagine. One of the hardest aspects of understanding karma is the waiting. When we see someone do something wrong, perhaps they lie, cheat, or betray someone, and we feel that they should immediately face consequences for their actions, it's tempting to feel as if the universe is unjust if no immediate punishment is delivered. We want to see the wrongdoer pay for their actions, and we want to see the good people rewarded in real time. However, karma doesn't always work in a way that satisfies our desire for immediate justice. It's not a system that is designed to appease our sense of entitlement or our thirst for quick answers. Instead, karma works in a deeper, more subtle way, bringing balance over time. Time, in the context of karma, is a teacher. It allows for reflection and growth. In many cases, the consequences of our actions are not felt immediately because we may not be ready to fully understand or learn from them. If karma worked too quickly, it might not give us the necessary space to learn and grow from our experiences. The delays in seeing karma play out are, in a sense, an opportunity for us to develop patience and trust in the process of life. When we act, we may not always be aware of the long-term impact of our choices, and so the universe gives us time to learn the consequences of our actions in a way that is often more meaningful than an instantaneous result. Additionally, karma works over time because it's not just about the actions we take, but also about the intentions behind those actions. It's easy to think that karma only applies to the obvious, outwardly negative behaviors like dishonesty, cruelty, or betrayal. But karma is just as much about the subtle energies that lie behind our actions, the thoughts, feelings, and intentions that influence what we do. Sometimes the full impact of an action, positive or negative, takes time to materialize because it's not just the surface level result that karma addresses. It's the deeper energy that is being sent into the world. For example, if someone behaves with kindness, but their actions are driven by a need for validation or approval, the positive energy they're putting out into the world might not have the same long-term effect as kindness that is given freely without expectation. Rebecca, the universe understands these subtleties. And so the results of our actions aren't always immediate or clear. Over time, however, the deeper effects of our intentions are revealed, and the true consequences of our energy become apparent. This is why karma isn't always an instant result, but a gradual unfolding. In another sense, the passage of time allows for the complexities of life to unfold. Sometimes people who have wronged others may seem to get away with their actions, while the person who is wronged seems to suffer, but the truth is that time has a way of revealing everything. The person who lies, manipulates, or hurts others may seem to succeed in the short term, but over time, the cracks in their character begin to show. Their dishonesty will eventually catch up with them, even if it takes years. Similarly, a person who endures hardship with grace, integrity, and kindness may not be immediately rewarded, but their actions will come back to them in ways that can't be predicted. Time has a way of correcting the imbalances in life, revealing the truth of the situation, and giving everyone exactly what they need in the end. Karma's effectiveness over time also speaks to the notion of universal balance. There is a sense of equilibrium in the world, and when something is out of balance, it must eventually return to harm. This is not always something that can be observed immediately. We may see someone who has done terrible things seemingly go unpunished for a long time. But this does not mean karma isn't at work. The universe has its own way of restoring balance, and it may take time for the full picture to reveal itself. People often forget that karmic consequences may not always happen in the exact moment we expect or desire. The wrongdoer may not face direct consequences for their actions in the form we imagine, but in time they will inevitably encounter the repercussions of their energy in one way or another. And sometimes karma doesn't look the way we expect it to. The return of karma can come in forms that are different from what we imagined. The person who has wronged others may not experience what we consider to be punishment, but they may experience a deeper form of loss or struggle, one that is meaningful for their personal growth. Similarly, those who have lived with integrity and kindness may not receive financial or material rewards immediately, but they will find themselves surrounded by love, peace, and fulfillment that money cannot buy. Karma is about the long game. It is the understanding that our actions ripple through time and that everything we put into the world eventually returns to us in ways both seen and unseen. It reminds us that although we may not always see the immediate consequences of our actions, the universe has a way of ensuring that everything comes full circle in its own time. It teaches us patience, faith, and the understanding that what we sow, we will eventually reap, whether in this life or the next. Though the only certainty is that karma always works, but it does so in its own time in ways that we may not always expect. In life, there will always be moments when you're faced with a temptation to speak up, to react, or to set things right. But remember, not every battle is yours to fight. Sometimes the most powerful response is to stay silent, to step back, and to let karma work its magic. When people wrong you, betray your trust, or show their true colors, you don't need to waste your energy on retaliation. Trust that the universe has a way of balancing things out, and let time reveal the truth. Your silence isn't weakness. It's strength. It's a testament to your self-control, your wisdom, and your understanding that justice doesn't need to be served on your timeline. The beauty of karma is that it's patient, relentless, and always on time. So the next time you're tempted to fight fire with fire, remember this. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stay silent and let karma handle it. Keep moving forward with integrity and let life take care of the rest.